It's Wednesday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And I'm Steven.
And we are back with another episode. We had a bonus episode that we put out Monday. If you didn't hear that yet, please go check it out. We had interviews with 3 wrestlers that were part of a show in North Alabama last Saturday called For the Love of Pro Wrestling. That's the promotion, and the show was called No Respect. We interviewed Braden Toon, Hunter Drake, and Jameson Shook. And I want to thank all of those guys for taking a little bit of time to talk to us before their show that night. We had a lot of fun. I encourage you to go check it out if you can, and if you haven't already. We're going to jump into some Smackdown talk first, and then we'll do Raw before we get into our Hidden Door recap.
Forbidden Door.
What did I say?
Hidden Door.
God damn it. I'm trying to scroll my notes. You know what I mean. Forbidden Door.
Maybe for some of the people at Forbidden Door, the door should have stayed hidden.
I mean, maybe. Maybe. I cannot multitask, as is abundantly clear. I realized on the show the other night, I don't know why, I said on the third mic was Braden Toon. He was clearly number 4.
We weren't going to count you on that one.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, let's start off. SmackDown got off to a hot start the other night. KO, Orton, and Cody were brawling with the Bloodline to start the show off. Not a bad way to start.
Up until they get arrested. I'm sorry.
Did we figure that out? We talked about that some Saturday night at the show in Decatur, but like, why is it that these guys get hauled off, escorted by police, and then the Bloodline can end the show brawling every week and never see any consequences?
It's not even that. It was that they murdered a man on the end of in SmackDown, really.
Well, at least they had the decency to wait till after the show was over. I think that's the thing. It's Cody Rhodes in the group.
Yeah, they were holding the show hostage.
Holding the beginning of it, yeah. So you got to go to jail or get escorted out or whatever.
Yep.
Something like that.
It was a hot opening to the show. I didn't put this in the show notes, and I probably should have before I asked this question to everybody, but like watching Cody Rhodes at the beginning, I had the thought that like this dude might be like the most complete babyface character in WWE. So like babyfaces come in different, usually they come in one of a couple of different sort of archetypes. There's the scrappy underdog, Rey Mysterio, Bryan Danielson. There's like the cool guy, Bret Hart. Seth Rollins falls in that category. There's like The Rock. There's sort of the ass kicker, rebellious character, Stone Cold Steve Austin. KO. There's a Superman type character, Hulk Hogan, John Cena. Cody Rhodes is the only one that I can think of that can kind of do all of those things pretty well. Now, he does some things better than others, but like he gave you scrappy underdog at WrestleMania. He clearly can be the Superman type of character. He can be the cool guy and dress
Homelander.
up. Yeah, Homelander. He can give you the cool guy and dress up in the suits. He can give you the ass kicker like he did Friday night where he comes in and it looks believable like he's beating the hell out of somebody. So, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I mean, I think we're probably underestimating how good of a babyface this guy is. And, don't want to be too exaggerated here, but like he is kind of on an all-time type of run here as the champion.
And yet, he's the second biggest babyface on SmackDown right now.
Who's the first?
Roman Reigns.
Well, true. Well, Roman Reigns. Granted, yeah. But Roman is finally where he probably was meant to be all along.
This is what entertains the hell out of me because anybody but Roman. I was on that train hard. And, I'm looking forward to him coming back and whipping some ass.
So are the fans, clearly.
They have managed to accomplish what Vince McMahon could not accomplish in 6 years, shoving this man down my throat like, it was epicac. And what? This storyline has gotten him over more than he has ever been in his life.
3 months since his last appearance.
But, I mean, the whole thing with Roman was Vince should just turn him heel.
Yep.
Because in the history of wrestling, that if you can't get a babyface over, you turn him heel, and then eventually he comes back around and he becomes a babyface again. That's a tale as old as time in wrestling. So the same with like John Cena. He just didn't want to do that with John Cena, and it took years of being
I think it was
crowd reaction.
I think Cena was the one that didn't want to do that though, because he didn't want to give up all that Make-A-Wish stuff that he really enjoys doing.
Well, I was telling y'all, and I think this is pretty much common. I think we were talking about it Saturday night at the show, but like John Cena was going to turn heel. I think when The Rock came back in 2011, and he had like a singlet made and got his entrance music changed, and he was going to go all in. And I think at the 11th hour, Vince kind of pulled the plug on it.
I think Cody will end up in the John Cena category before he's done, as far as people hating him.
Oh yeah, but I think now with this regime, much like Homelander from The Boys, there's one hell of a heel character that's in there that's waiting to kind of come out.
He's been talking lately, and I think John Cena was of that same mentality of like, if you're going to be the bad guy, there ain't no holding back.
Right.
They're not trying. They seem to come off as I'm not going to be cool. I'm going to be a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of have to. Do you think we'll get a Cody heel run?
Eventually, I think you will. I don't think it's anytime soon. Yeah. But yeah, I think you will.
I'd be far off. I don't know. I think he really enjoys doing that John Cena shit too.
Sure, but at some point there will be another guy who, in a year, 2 years, who's to say in a year, 18 months, it's not Carmelo Hayes. That's sort of the big baby face, rah guy, and he needs a heel to go up against him. And, if there's a dude that can kind of take the torch of all of the corporate stuff and the Make-A-Wish stuff and everything that comes with being the champion, if it would be beneficial for a guy like Cody to turn heel and help that person out, I think he would. And I think he would do an amazing job at it.
Yeah. For sure.
This entire we can summarize SmackDown because realistically, the wrestling matches themselves, I couldn't even tell you who was on it.
Yeah, we didn't make any notes on that.
Yeah. This entire episode revolves around that intro and the exit.
Yeah. Yeah, the exit, the notes just say, I do not acknowledge you. Shout out Paul Heyman. I have never liked this dude. I've thought he was annoying as shit. Always got on my nerves. This man had me in my feelings for him the other night talking about, I never thought, I tweeted out, I was like, if you would have told me a year ago that I would feel bad for Paul Heyman, I would have said you're a damn lie. But look the man in his face, he was scruffy. There's reports going around. He didn't sleep for 24 hours.
Which by the way, my bullshit meter went through the roof when I heard that.
He looked like it. He looked like he
looked like it, but where did that come from? Because Paul Heyman, all due respect to him, is the ultimate carny of carnies.
That is true. Okay.
So, but no,
I take things at face value too.
Small hand smells of cabbage.
Yeah. Yeah, the end was absolutely fantastic. We finally got the moment, and they put him through the table. And yeah, the place erupted at that. And whenever Roman Reigns does come back, wherever they're at, that'll be one of the all-time pops that we hear when he comes back.
I'm telling you, hit that big dog music.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh,
I'm in, baby.
Yeah.
I sent y'all the YouTube link a couple weeks ago, just the theme music. I was like, I can't wait.
And he'll come out and he'll beat the shit out of Solo, and they'll get their comeuppance on him, and we're off to the races.
How long do you think that is? Do you think it's this year?
Yes.
SummerSlam?
Yeah. I think that's why you do the Paul Heyman thing, is because you're closer to Roman Reigns coming back than you are away from it. We're getting close.
So then we learned that Solo isn't the final boss. Right?
Yeah, so that's probably the beats in the story. Roman comes back, and then they have their little tiff, and then you find out, Solo actually has been answering to The Rock. And I think they spin that somehow. I don't know how you get to Cody and The Rock, because
I assume that The Rock will step aside so that Cody can do it.
Right. Yeah. That documentary is not out yet, by the way, or is it?
It'll be out tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that next episode. But Cody and The Rock is still lingering out there too. Yeah, it's kind of up in there. What's your WrestleMania match next year? Is it Roman Rock? Is it Cody Rock?
I think Roman Rock, honestly.
I think so, and I think they'll give they got time to build somebody up to go against Cody. Because now you got 2 nights, so Roman and The Rock will main event.
Maybe it's Cody Punk at that point.
Cody Punk, yeah, I could see that.
Call back to
no, dog, he'll be hurt.
That's his first match back.
For being hurt, he's still pulling some heavy lifting duties on these storylines, man.
He is, but he's made of glass. Brittle.
Like Matthew Stafford, his first couple of years in the league.
Maybe we get a call back of Seth Cody. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you could go for WrestleMania, but Roman Reigns, yes, people are anxiously awaiting his return, which is something that we probably would not have even conceived of as a thought 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Wild shit. Let's move on to Raw then, unless you guys have any other notes.
No, really. I mean, like I said, that was the entire show. For 2 hours, that was all, that really mattered on that show.
Yeah.
I did like the Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton confrontation. And I'll just say, for basketball players to be as good as athletes as they are, they're some weird looking dudes, man. They're just tall, they're lanky, and they look like pubescent teenagers forever, but they're 6'8" and multi-millionaires. But
I guess that's the only other thing from SmackDown but everybody's already complaining about that shit left and right.
The censorship, yeah. I mean, you have to know in New York, with as crazy as that sports environment is, if you bring anybody, the WWE is doing that on purpose. Now, I don't think they anticipated the Fox network to censor it that much.
Like the whole show?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got somebody flipping off Nia Jax has evidently caused the blackouts.
Boy, they'd like that. They would go dark for 10, 13 seconds.
And then fuck the Pacers. That was out there.
Fuck you, Solo. That was what caused the end.
Was another one, yeah.
So that you couldn't hear what he was saying to Paul as he was killing him.
Nope.
So the first note for our Raw segment says, Uso doesn't want the Fireflies. He'll take the mosquitoes and cockroaches. He was so funny.
Yeah. Dude is, I mean, you're talking about something else that if you had told me 3 years ago that Jey Uso would have been one of the top baby faces in this company, wouldn't have bought it either.
He's up there.
But that crowd went wild. I mean, we talk about how they do that repeat shot a lot, but for him it works because it's part of seeing just how bought into he is with that crowd.
Yeah, he's one of the dudes that flipped me, because at first, I was the when I was really just starting back watching a few years ago, the Usos were boring to me. Also, they were always in trouble. They were always getting DUIs. Yeah. And I was like, something needs to happen with these dudes. And they turned it around from,
They were the young bucks of the WWE for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I've come around on them, come around on Heyman. One of these days, I might come around on Braun Breaker. We ain't there yet. He did. Now, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but we'll get to that. Okay. So we were still on Uso and the Fireflies.
So get Chad Gable come out. And we learned that, maybe he's the target of the Wyatts, definitely, but we'll get a little bit more on that because it could be him. It could be Uso. It could be Dominic. You got a lot of family haters on Raw.
Yeah. And listen, I'm not saying that Otis is wrong, but I'm just saying there's love in your heart for your man Chad Gable somewhere. And 2 weeks ago, he looked like he got murdered. These people are still trying to murder him.
Mm-hmm. He's just standing there.
And you just back there in catering, just chilling. I don't know, man.
Oh, but hold on.
Help him a little bit.
I'm going to, because we talked about WWE first, I'm going to say this and we can circle back to this. Chad Gable's a better actor than Will Ospreay.
Oh, I mean, he's a little, probably not by much, because I don't think Chad Gable did a great job backing out like he was scared.
I mean, when he was back there doing the Otis thing, and Otis is like, I don't hate you, man. You could just see that little, I got him smirk. I'm like, okay, it was over the top, but it was still, what it needed.
It's just the same thing like you said every week now with the Wyatt family. At some point, they have to get this in the ring.
Yep.
Like, they're in the good graces right now, but how many more weeks are we going to be okay with Spooky Girl comes out with a box, hands it to Michael Cole?
He's got to explain what a VHS tape is every week.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they can find a VHS player and after they found the first VHS player.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you put? They got 2 more weeks of this before fans go, okay, this is...
in my house, it's already there because every time they come out there and do that, I need something more than this. I'm like,
see,
okay.
This is what we talked about. This was the problem.
And don't get me wrong, the video that they play, it's a damn good video.
It's great, but it's like with this story and with the people in the Wyatt verse in general, Bray Wyatt had the same problem. The build-ups were always better than when it finally came out and started happening.
Yeah.
The QR codes, everything like that was always cool. And then it happens and you go, okay, well.
We've seen WWE fail once the vignettes stop. I mean,
Right.
We had Sangha coming for 9.5 months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Veer.
Yeah.
Veer is coming.
Veer is coming. And
People are like, damn, did you get lost along the way? What the hell happened?
So we've seen this go bad for them. So while these ones are better than those by a long shot.
Oh, yeah.
You still need, at the end of the day, and it's funny that it's a WWE show I'm saying this about, the wrestling still is the most. It's still there.
Yeah, it is still a wrestling show. They're going to have to wrestle at some point.
Like, I thought we would get something a little different out of the Uncle Howdy segment last night.
I honestly think that this was the last one before we actually get somebody jumped or something at this stage. And it may be the Money in the Bank that triggers it. I don't know. But to me, this felt like that final one where we cement, while we all knew what it was, that this is Bo, and he's gonna, come out here and make people remember.
Yeah, they kind of. Yes, the video package last night was good, but it's also like with the dissolves, and they were like really hammering home like Uncle Howdy's Bo Dallas. It was like, yeah, I think we all got that last week.
Yeah.
I think we're, people are so savvy now when it comes to watching and consuming entertainment. Like camera tricks. People know the language of visual media now better than they've ever had.
You say that though, but if you close your eyes and imagine your average dumb person,
I think even they get this. This is wrestling.
But half of them are dumber.
No, I think everybody was. There's not a single person last night that was like, "Oh shit, Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy's the same." Not a single person watching that. Everybody's like, "Yeah, we get it. We got it. Let's it's time to see a power bomb or a pile driver or something."
Yeah. About halfway through, I was like, they're not putting any swerves in this. Like they're just rolling.
Also, can I see how the security guards are getting knocked out? I was about
to say that too. I want to. Did Nikki do it? Is it crazy purple knockout gas?
Is Michael Cole a double agent? Is he doing it? I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Maybe it's Corey Graves. He got them to stay down tattoos.
Yeah.
Anything else on that before we get into Judgment Day?
Nah.
Rollins and Priest. Well, let's move on into that then. Finn Balor and Priest just aren't getting along these days very well, are they?
They are having a little tiff.
Look, man, Balor's just trying to play his video games.
Yeah. Come on, Priest. What the hell? This is our clubhouse.
Hey.
Bro, we just put curtains up in the back. It ain't that serious.
I mean, we start that off, though. Priest playing mind games with Dominic of, hey, Rhea okay? Oh, yeah, Rhea's great. No, Shane, I just talked to her, bitch. She mad at you.
Damian Priest still to me, first of all, I do not like that he doesn't have the title just walking around all the time. I don't like the fact that in those backstage segments, the title's just like in the background. He should just be having that. Now, maybe that's a minor nitpick. It should be around his waist or on his shoulder. He is the champion. But still, and I don't mean to harp on the guy, every single time he is in a segment, he's the worst one. It doesn't matter who he's in the ring with.
And what did Dominic say? Damn, you're as bad as my dad.
Yeah. It's like we talked about. He's the straight man in a comedy, but you don't remember that guy.
And what popped me, and it was a stupid ass thing, Carlito, dude, I was playing as you, man.
Yeah. So you getting your ass kicked? Because that's what he does.
Yeah, you step up, man. You got Carlito and like Fergal out there.
But I mean, he ain't lying.
And Dom, I mean,
he ain't lying when he says since he's got that title, he's changed.
It's just,
yeah.
I am ready for them to kick him out.
What if? Let me posit this, because stipulation is if he wins, Seth can't challenge. If he loses, he's out of the Judgment Day. What if he wins?
If he wins, and I hope one Mr. Drew McIntyre wins Money in the Bank, and he cashes in that exact same night.
I mean, he's already said he was going to walk out as world champion.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night. Jamie was like, "Which one is Money in the Bank?" And she's like, "Is that the one where they climb up a ladder and get a briefcase and carry it around for a year?" I said, No. I was like,
sometimes
Damian Priest carried that shit around for a year. Almost.
Hold on now. He carried it around for 9 months. It was his little baby.
Felt a lot longer than that.
The only one, there's a couple of Money in the Bank cash-ins I like. I like Dolph Ziggler's one. But my favorite one is honestly John Cena's. And if you remember John Cena's, he was like, I'm going to cash in and just do a match. We're going to have a match. I'm not going to like take the upper hand here. He ended up losing, I believe. But that was a cool little like, I don't know why. At some point, someone's going to be like, I have the Money in the Bank briefcase. Here's what I'm going to do. I want it on the grandest stage. I'm going to have the main event match at WrestleMania against my choosing.
That's what I told her last night too. I said, you get punk asses like Priest that cash it in on somebody. They just got the shit whooped out of them. I said, but sometimes there's actual matches.
I enjoyed the Seth Rollins one with him, Brock, and Roman
at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's the first like holy shit. That's the Dolph Ziggler one turned up to 11 at WrestleMania in the main event. Yeah, but yeah, someday somebody just needs to be like, I'm doing it at WrestleMania.
I don't care that you won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
Side.
It's me. I get it for you.
I think they'd make it a triple threat at that
Probably.
point. Yeah. But
he sucks. Damian Priest sucks.
I mean, Rollins came out. He said his piece. Damian interrupted him and said his bullshit. And Damian just fucked his friend again. Yeah. I mean, he's the good guy, but I'm siding with Finn at this stage because at least Finn is true to who he is, whereas Damian is just
Why does Damian not want to beat up Seth?
Because he wants to prove on his own that he doesn't need the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day needs him.
Okay.
Whatever.
Like Corey just said, this is the same guy that
he's a good guy now. That's the difference. He's changed since he's got the belt.
Okay, yeah. Well, he's the guy that needs to go.
And that's when Seth got in the ring, it started raining that confetti. Were they that fucking loud that they knocked leftover confetti out of the ceiling?
I mean, maybe so.
People love Seth.
They be yelling for Seth. I've got the Money in the Bank card pulled up here for
the fit god himself, Seth Rollins.
Seth fucking Rollins.
The fits are always
come
immaculate.
Next year in Netflix.
Oh, they should do that. That's how it should start. I'm not Seth freaking Rollins anymore. I'm Seth fucking Rollins. And the Jumbotron changes everything.
I don't know. They're still trying to sell the
kids.
they
won't do that.
They're still trying to sell the kids.
I don't know. You go on the kids' playground, the elementary schools, they're fucking dropping motherfuckers.
Bro, I started cussing when I was in second grade. I heard my first Luke Skywalker song not long after that. Before he was Luke in the Two Live Crew, he was Luke Skywalker.
Oh, I thought you meant the Luke Skywalker.
Oh, no.
No. This was back when face down, ass up.
No, before that. Or maybe that was that the first record? I don't know. We're getting in the weeds. So Ilya, how you say it? Is that Ilya?
Ilya.
Right. You were right about I'm going to like this dude when he comes up.
Yep.
Because, I don't watch NXT, but I mean, I've seen something here and there, but yeah, this dude is fun.
He likes to lay it in. He's got the facial expressions. He's not huge, and mind you, if he got huge, I'm not sure what you do with him. But for his size and what he accomplishes, man, you can see where they think of him too. I mean, sure he lost, but he didn't lose.
Yeah,
he's getting a highlight pretty quickly. It feels like,
and he'll be able to put on every match. he's one of those guys, kind of like Gunther, that excels at making the other person look better than they are.
And that's a skill. That's a very good skill to have. Now, you hope you don't get the Dolph Ziggler route, speaking of him again, where you get so good at that, they never let you win. So, I mean, it's...
How old is Dragunov?
He's late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
I want to say
30.
31.
Checks out.
But I'm just guessing on this shit right now.
Speaking of Dragunov, it looks like Ricochet is officially a free agent as of yesterday, I think.
Saw that, yep.
Wonder how long his non-compete is.
I don't think there is
no,
one.
if he didn't resign, that's just
Oh.
he's ready to go. He could have shown up the day of 30.
Okay.
He'll be 31 this year.
He'll probably show up. If you're listening to this when it releases tonight on Dynamite, he might show up.
I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
We get Garcia and Ospreay on Wednesday night. Let Ospreay get that dub, and then King Ricochet.
Yeah.
I said I didn't watch Collision. I ended up watching Collision. You just made me remember that.
Yeah,
I didn't watch
not.
Collision.
We'll get to AEW shortly. Anything else from WWE before we get into the card?
The only thing, I mean, this is still a 3-hour show right now, but as opposed to what those 7 hours of Monday Night Raw have been in the last couple years, this doesn't feel like 7 hours of Raw. This feels like it's a fairly fast and consecutive show where I'm not mad at it being as long as it is, as much as I used to be.
Listen, I've taken the Patrick Akers route on Monday nights.
Just fast forward all the matches.
I typically sit through SmackDown and will watch SmackDown just as I'm easing into my weekend, right? But by the time I get settled, it's around 8 o'clock on Monday night. And I've already got what we used to refer to as bloop bloop when we had a TV, where you could get to them fast forward those commercials. Fast forward some of the matches.
I do all the matches. I do every one of them. Unless there's one that absolutely just went crazy.
You didn't watch the main event then?
Mm-mm.
I watched some of the Ilya match, and
Liv and Vega wasn't bad either.
I watched part of that.
Dominic and Ray was actually decent.
I usually I skip the entrances, and then I go to the end. When I see the pinfall, then I hit play. And I see what happened. And that's usually how I do. You can watch Monday Night Raw in about 22 minutes.
Yeah, they actually had 3 decent matches on this one.
But I do like the Liv stuff. I do think she is. I like that she has now stolen the
prison luck.
That, and I like her merch now resembles Rhea Ripley's merch as well.
Yeah.
So that's good. Dominic should just give in, man. I don't know how much it's going to take. Just give in.
That's going to get him murdered.
He's getting murdered. She said it. You were both dead anyway.
Okay,
it doesn't matter.
Well, hold on. What if it doesn't? What if he is actually playing her? What if Rhea's like, yeah, lean into this, bro. Lean into it.
But he's not leaning in.
But he has to play the hard to get. He has to, because if he leaned in, she'd question it. But if he fishes her in like a good old, bass fisherman over here, and then Rhea comes back and you think she's going to kill Dom and just wipes her out, then hugs Dom following day my man did what I told him to do because mommy's always on top. She'd get that pop, and then immediately she'd be hated right back again.
I think what you were going to see happen is a version of that, except Dominic. That's when Dominic finally decides to go with Liv and not Rhea. And you'll get a Priest and Rhea team up, and she'll try her damnedest to get this motherfucker over. Even though he's got the title and he still ain't over, we're just going to keep trying. He's probably a nice dude backstage.
Maybe Drew will walk out with that one.
Like I said, I think something tells me he wins that match. And again, all you got to do is keep Seth busy for however long it takes. Another month, and then Gunther's got the belt.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So let's run down the Money in the Bank card real quick. Jey Uso versus Carmelo versus Andrade versus Chad Gable versus LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We think Drew probably gets that one, right?
Money says.
That would be my guess.
Yep. And then Io Sky versus Chelsea Green versus Lyra Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus Zoe Stark for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
If I'm betting, Tiffany.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw betting odds, which is funny on things that are scripted, but betting odds.
I've always wondered that because, like, if we were in the know, could we just make a ton of money off DraftKings?
Yeah.
Like if I was in the WWE writers' room, could I just feed you information?
You need to make a friend.
Just feed me some. Apparently, Dijak was a damn Fightful informant. That's part of the reason why they canned his ass.
So did they find out?
That's been discredited, evidently.
Was it?
Sure, it has.
So then we get Priest versus Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
I'm going Priest winning on that one.
I'm going Priest too, but with the Drew cash in.
Yeah,
I would like to see that. But again, if Drew wins it, he's got a month, and then what? So I don't know.
Then Punk screws him over again in his match against Gunther. Again, and then Drew's like, I literally have to stab you. I have to kill you. I'm gonna pull a Chad Gable, and I'm just gonna leave you in the lay-in.
Does our man Sami Zayn have a fighting chance versus Braun Breaker?
I think he wins.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
This is one I think a title will change. I'm going Braun on this one, but I think he's going to put this is going to be the match that I think is going to be the most enjoyable.
I'm gonna go with Sammy. I don't know if they pulled the trigger just yet on
him. Yeah, I don't know. And then we get Cody, Randy, and KO versus the Bloodline.
If the Bloodline doesn't win, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, it has to be the Bloodline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, KO.
This will be Fatu's first real match, right? Who were the three?
I didn't think it was Fatu.
Oh, well, then that's stupid.
Let's see.
It has to be him. It's got to be Solo.
He'll get involved.
It's got to be Solo, Fatu, and one of the Tongas.
Yeah.
Or if anything, it doesn't need to be Solo, and it needs to be the two Tongas and Fatu and Solo on the outside. The dude just debuted. He has to have a match. He can't be not having a match. He's now put down the champion twice.
Let's see here. It is. They've got all four of them on the poster. So I guess it's a 4 versus 3.
It'll be whatever Tonga. They'll play paper, rock, scissors in the back.
Let's switch over to Forbidden Door. Most of the stuff in Dynamite led up to Forbidden Door, and I missed. Is there anything in particular you see on your notes that you think we should hit, Stephen? I missed Collision because we were at the show indicator.
Just when we started talking about Daniel Garcia, I remembered it was the Battle of Brooklyn or wherever the hell they were at, and you had the Butcher versus Daniel Garcia, which was a better match than it deserved to be.
Yeah, gotcha.
Shout out Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Butcher wasn't actually half bad.
I like Butcher. I've always liked Butcher and the Blade. I wish they would
he's just too old for them to really pull the trigger on it, I think.
Yeah. So
he's like the Diamond Dallas Page of AEW in the sense that he started too late.
So Forbidden Door started off with Hechicero versus MJF. I'm assuming your note, Steven, says explain to me again why this isn't Roosh.
Yeah. Again, tell me why this isn't Roosh.
They said that CMLL does not want Roosh.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Pause right there. CMLL does not want this.
I get you. I'm with you.
Who, when they opened up that pay-per-view, there was 2 company names on that pay-per-view. CMLL was not on that company name pay-per-view.
And that's true. It was always AEW New Japan, and somehow CMLL made their way into it. I'm just telling you what I read on the sheets. The sheet said...
If the dirt sheets are to be believed.
Yeah, they said Roosh can't be a part of this, which is why they had the match with MJF at the beginning. Because, yes, it would make sense. This was in his damn hometown. This should have been his first match back. It was a fine match. I mean, it wasn't much. It was okay.
Rules exist for a fucking reason.
Here we go.
This is it. All right, where are we at?
Dude poked the dude right in the eye in front of the ref.
Yeah.
Ref was like, okay, cool. Didn't even say, hey, don't do that. Dude bit him. Ref didn't even say, hey, don't do that.
You counted to 5.
No, he didn't.
You got to 5.
No, he didn't.
You got a long 5. This a 1.
This was
and a 2.
This match just made me so grumpy because A, it shouldn't have been Hechicero.
I mean, I agree with you.
And then you have, I mean, there were some funny spots in it where, MJF is like, oh, hey, I'm going to get him, poking the eye stuff. And, you had a couple, but this was a glorified squash match.
As it probably should have been. MJF is a big star. Hitches arrows.
This is your opening match.
Yeah,
this sets the tone for the rest of the night.
But the crowd was hot for him because it's in his hometown. It's living in Long Island. Listen, the people that watch AEW pay-per-views, they're not going to be the ones that watch one match after they pay $50 and be like, nah, not going to do it. They're watching all 4 hours. So, I mean, because if it didn't put it here, where are you going to put it?
Collision?
Nah, you got to have him on the pay-per-view. He got to be on the pay-per-view.
Then put it with a different person.
I do like the fact
Make
that
it more important.
It's not brown. It's like the black and white scarf now. Kind of cool. Just a little small detail.
Burberry, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but is Burberry the pattern or the colors?
I think it's a combo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen to us talk about fashion. We know fashion.
I don't fucking know. I only know that because Jamie pointed that out to me a couple of years ago. She's like, who's the guy with the Burberry scarf? I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
She's like, I think he's got initials for a name. I was like, oh, okay. That guy.
And then WWE straight up stole his shirt for Tonga. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's... You don't have to lie and say you ain't watching the competition. Bro, that shirt looks exactly the same. Come on now.
Yeah. Next note, we've got most of these notes are Steven's. I just neglected to take fucking notes the other day, apparently.
Then y'all are in trouble if these are all mine.
So we'll try to spin them as much as we can. The Elite had a trios match on a pay-per-view.
Yep. And did I mention that MJF and Hechicero were the first match, and it set the tone for a lot of these matches? This would be the second match on this pay-per-view. The best thing to come out of this, Okada.
I mean, Okada's over. That dude, whenever you want to pull the trigger,
they're cheering.
People love that guy.
There was two people in this match that were good. Okada and Bowen.
Yeah.
Everybody else.
Well, Tanahashi is way past his prime. I mean, he's over the mountain and has set up shop on the other side. He got a little cavern. You don't need to wrestle anymore.
Somebody was a tweet or on Threads or something was like, my man had the audacity to try to hit that air guitar after one of the worst moves I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, listen, it's a legend. I'm sure New Japan wanted him on there for the nostalgia.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Can't argue with you, though. Anthony Bowen is athletic as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And dude works.
Max. Okada's comedy chops have if there's one bright spot of this we've talked about, yeah. His comedy chops are shining through.
Bitch.
I mean, Matt Caster has his raps, but other than that, I mean,
he's not nearly as good in the ring as
his raps are getting old.
Yeah. It's kind of same old.
Yeah. Shout out to Anthony. That dude, solid worker. I thought this was weird that it was a trios match. I mean, like you said, but you got to get Okada in there in this show.
And you don't want to do Okada and Tanahashi. You don't want to see that.
No.
well, you do, but not today.
For the wrong reason. Yeah, not today. You can watch those on YouTube if you want.
I don't see this note on here, so let me go ahead and jump ahead just a little bit, and we'll move back forward. Speaking of people that are on the other side of that hill,
yep.
Fucking Jericho could not go. He was like, I can't ignore these. You got to retire chants. So he just grabs the fucking mic before the match. I was like,
did what he's supposed to do, man.
Ouch.
I mean, listen, I'm sure he walks back through that curtain and spins it and be like, it's working. We're doing what we want to do.
Yep.
This is what we set out to do.
He was a hometown hero.
But listen, if I was booking that show, I would be, I don't know if this is the right type of heat.
Well, I mean, it's over now, right? Hook has won. Hit him with his own move.
That's true.
So we don't have to see this anymore, right?
Oh, no. You'll see it probably Wednesday. He'll probably start the show.
You remember when we talked last week about Shibata doing the Joe move?
Yeah.
Him and Hook did it this thing. It sucked. I don't care anymore. Joe popped for it too. Not as much as the first one, but even he didn't give a shit.
Also, just the visual of two guys like Samoa Joe and Shibata who have been stalwarts in the wrestling scene for a very long time. I mean, Shibata is a legend in Japan. He didn't get the name recognition in America, but like he is a legend over there, and Samoa Joe is a legend. The fact that they were flanking Hook, who was dead center, as if he was the star, was a tough look for me to watch. And like I've talked about Hook, I'm sure he's a fantastic kid. He will probably be a good wrestler in the future. He's just not there right now.
He's not my flavor.
And for him to be continually put in this position on a pay-per-view is baffling.
What gets me is like you could have Daniel Garcia.
Nah, he was busy upstairs sitting in the ring, watching the show.
I mean, yeah, it could be any
doing?
of the other guys who are better wrestlers, who can wrestle for long stretches and not get lost and not be out of place and make it look convincing. Even the Judas effect at the end.
Oh no, it was
didn't look convincing.
There was a lot of very poorly choreographed transitions in this show where it took too long to get to certain things, and it makes it look less believable, less enjoyable to me. But that's just my 2 cents.
Again, you're trying to get over we're the best wrestle. Hook is not that.
Hook ain't need a dog.
Hook's not it.
If he was an ice cream flavor, he's Spumoni.
So let's get back to Mariah May. We had the Toni Storm match. You've got the Mariah May note here.
Yeah, Mariah May feels Toni is her mom was the quote from the announcers in this match, which makes this a really awkward ending for this match.
I mean, listen.
Because I don't know about you, but I've never wanted to, go out there and make out with my dad and my best friend.
I don't know if you frequent the numerous adult sites that are on the internet. But this is a thing for people, okay? I ain't saying this is what it is. I enjoyed the match, and I think like I've talked about last week or a couple weeks ago, this storyline probably shouldn't be happening in 2024. It probably is regressive. It probably is something that should be a relic of wrestling's past. At the same time, these 3 women are super attractive. I don't know what you want from me at this point, okay? I don't know. Like, I dig it. I don't know.
Here's what I want. This is and I've been saying this every single time. This is your women's world champion for AEW.
But she's the crowd responds to her. She responds. She got a way bigger reaction than
What
Mercedes.
were they fighting over in this match? Was it the belt?
Well, they're fighting over Mariah.
No. Was it the belt?
No, it's not the belt. But you could say the same thing about Liv Morgan holding the championship Monday Night Raw. She's not fighting for the belt. She's fighting for a dude.
No. She's trying to impress the dude, but she's fighting when Zelina Vega's out there fighting, she's defending the belt. They weren't fighting for the belt. This match was built around who was going to be Mariah May's friend / lover.
Listen.
And that is your world title.
Well, who would you rather have it right now?
And then we'll get to the point where the other women's title gets defended and you have something happen there. Nobody in that company wants that women's world title because that women's world title is garbage right now.
I don't think it's garbage. I think that's an overkill. I think Toni Storm she's doing really good character work.
It is a comedy belt.
That has shifted. Sure, but like...
Could you imagine Santino with the world heavyweight champion?
No, but he came damn near close, and the fans were into it when he almost won that Elimination Chamber and Royal Rumble match.
But assume he won it then, and then go on for a year of him defending it, hitting people with the Cobra.
Well, no, but Toni is believable enough of a wrestler because she has 2 to 3 years of an AEW beforehand where she wasn't playing this character. But like to me, it's no different than
I mean, hell, Mariah is taking her music and her look, and is coming out as Toni more or less.
Yeah, and I mean, why did Zelina Vega get a World Women's Championship match on Monday Night Raw? Like they're just throwing things out together. Like it's the two belts are in the same.
I'm sure they have a ranking system, but I won't get into that. But this world title is a comedy belt. You have your TV title, which is being taken seriously, and your returning star, who was a former women's world champion, is more interested in that TV belt than they are the world title.
Well, then maybe they got word that Jamie Hayter's going to come back, and maybe that'll change.
I mean, we all knew from, I guess it was Friday or Saturday. They're like, yeah, Tony was on the pre-show press call, and he said that Britt Baker is pretty close to being cleared. I'm like, okay, well, there's a fucking surprise ruined for Sunday night. Because as soon as the Mercedes match was done, I was like, wait for the music.
See, I didn't pay attention to that, so I didn't know. So this was a surprise for me. But again,
I still popped.
And here's even better. Mercedes Moné. This is what, her third match?
This is the third one.
2 belts already.
That's true.
Well, there's also lots of headlines the last 2 days. Mercedes says she has creative control.
No shit.
Yeah, no.
Because she wasn't the best wrestler in that ring.
No.
By a long shot.
Yeah, that lady, I haven't seen her wrestle before, but she was fucking good.
And so was the crowd. The crowd, she won over the crowd, and she looks like English. Obviously, English is clearly her second language, and by the middle of that match, the crowd was like, "Yeah, we like her a lot better."
Yeah, I mean, they were not cheering Moné
because the Moné character is not a babyface. You can't call yourself the CEO and brag about money and power and be a good person. It's not how anything works.
Well, why not? I mean, and that's what I want to double back up to for Dynamite, because we had the BCC where you had them come out. They announced that Jon Moxley is the IWGP World Champion, not their belt. They announced that. Wheeler Yuta's walking right beside him wearing the ROH belt that he's got. Not even talking about it. That's your company that you own. You don't even mention it. And
I wish y'all could see Steven's face.
Oh man, it just makes me so mad about this. And I forget where I was going about this with. So they had, because I got so sidetracked with that note, but I forget who it was that were calling out the Young Bucks. Was it the Acclaimed? I guess, because that's who they wrestled. I swear to God, they called them the Young Cucks.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're drunk with power. I'm not sure what power it is, because they couldn't even, get the dude the belt. They couldn't even arrange a match to their advantage. They got some,
Well, yeah,
they couldn't stop somebody from coming in to fight against them. What power? So you're talking about powers that being the CEO, she has more power, evidently, than the EVPs of the company.
She probably got a better agent. That's what it sounds like. Or she got the fact that she was, a WWE main event star.
But still, if you were gonna build a storyline around them having power, then she shouldn't have more power than they do.
I mean, I agree. This Young Bucks thing is, like I said, it's DOA. They missed their mark, and we'll talk about it when is the ladder match up next?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Orange is, you can skip. Doesn't matter.
Orange and Zack Sabre was a fun exhibition match, and Zack Sabre Jr. has these crazy ass submissions that literally I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, it's
I love Zack Sabre.
Yeah.
And I wish he would find his way to a bigger stage. He don't want to. He's Eddie Vedder back before Eddie Vedder got a taste of all the money that got Eddie Vedder onto Pearl Jam.
Well, and I don't think New Japan can't afford to let him go as well. They are down on stars pretty bad.
But I love that match because it's now. Would I want to see everything on that show be that match? No, because what makes that match stand out is how different it is from everything else around it.
Yeah, there's not many guys who are wrestling like Zack Sabre Jr. is wrestling at all. I mean, just the fact that the submissions themselves are
they look painful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're legit.
And Orange held his own. I mean, he continues to demonstrate to me that he is better than the reputation that people give him.
Oh, 100%. I will agree with that as well.
So, ladder match.
That shit was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We all knew Jack Perry was going to get it. So why not just do what we talked about 4 weeks ago and just give him the belt and have Christopher Daniels come out and say, okay, yes, you're the TNT champion, but now we're going to make your life live in hell. You're going to have to defend it in a ladder match. And then at the end of this match, Okada and the Bucks come out to help Jack Perry or whatever. Or you could have done something where Daniels bans them from the building, which makes sense why they're not in the finish. And then Jack Perry still ends up winning. And then when Jack Perry does his little promo online, instead of being like, everybody forgot about me, blah, 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 you can say, everybody tried to screw me over. And guess what? We're not going anywhere.
Takeshita was the best part of this match.
Takeshita is the best part of 99% of everything he's in.
The rest of this, I mean,
and Takeshita,
I get why it's on the pay-per-view because this is the for an AEW title.
Yeah.
And you had one non-AEW star in this.
Yeah, El Phantasmo's cool though. If you check out some of his, he's got a cool style about it.
But overall, this is a forgettable ladder match. There wasn't any really huge spots to it that are going to make you go, holy shit, for the rest of your life.
I did think it was fun though. Yeah. I enjoyed it. But this was a kind of a smarky crowd because Takeshita did get the biggest pop. And Takeshita is like the internet's unsung darling, you know?
That's AEW to a T, man. It's hipster wrestling.
So he got the big pop, but you knew it was Jack Perry was going to win. But like, again, just the booking decisions. If this is what you were going to do, just do it 4 weeks ago. Because now the Young Bucks have power because they gave a title to their friend. Mm-hmm. And the power that's going up against them tried to screw a man out of a title and they didn't do it. They failed. So now the Young Bucks and the Elite have bragging rights. But instead they just was like, fuck it, we'll have a tournament. Why? Because that's just what we do, I guess.
Yeah, it's still fun. I mean, I still thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, anytime you get Mark Briscoe in a ring, it's going to be fun. And like you said, Takeshita.
And Leo Rush, I don't think would have ever reached that title if he was standing on the ladder.
No.
Oh, he doesn't have to reach it. He could leap up to it. Dude is an athlete.
Poor dude. Yeah, and listen, from everything I've read, he is not officially signed with them again. I guess he's just on a short run.
Well, that's pretty much Leo's career.
Yeah. But
anywhere he gets settled, something happens and he retires.
I know he's little, but I love watching that dude in the ring. He is creative and quick.
Yep.
And I root for the dude. He was also on a season of MTV's The Challenge a few years ago when he was kind of out of wrestling. And, you heard a little bit more about his story. Like he left The Challenge early because he said it felt too much like he was a kid again in a foster home.
And see, I think he's I don't know what his current mental health state is, but I think once he gets into a committed thing, he feels the walls closing in on him and he has to find a way out. So I think the deal that he is currently functioning on is probably what's keeping him in wrestling at this stage. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just a dude that has van down by the river.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd put him in this match if I own the company. Like, if you're not going to sign a contract, we'll give it to somebody else.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We've skipped over the Daniel Bryanson match.
Well, I was about to say, you didn't have it in your notes.
Yeah, I didn't because it was okay.
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great.
You said Daniel Bryanson. You did a Corey.
Daniel Bryanson.
Brian Danielson, whatever he's going by these days.
I liked it. I mean, the result was never in question, I don't think. We knew it was going to be. Now I'm fucked up on the name. Y'all got me fucked up. Brian Danielson. I almost said Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan.
Nah, this one was one of the better of the matches on this pay-per-view. I'll agree.
They are starting the story of the scrappy underdog Brian Danielson, which we talked about on the show Saturday when we were there. Because I brought up the fact that like he's at his best when he's the underdog. But he can't be the underdog in AEW because every single wrestler, when they get an interview and the interviewee is like, who's your favorite wrestler? They're like, oh, Brian Danielson is like the best. Well, you can't be that if you're the GOAT,
He's all, if there's a spectrum of wrestling size, Brian is on the higher end of AEW.
True. And if you were just on the influence side, there are a handful of wrestlers in history that I think have been as influential in terms of like the in-ring product as he has been. I mean, I think he is on one hand the dudes who have influenced in terms of the in-ring style. So if you were going to make him an underdog, you have to manufacture some kind of story to get him there. And I don't know if they have done it intentionally with him losing all these big matches in the past, but they have certainly at least had enough sense to realize that's where we need to go forward. And it's pretty clear at this point he's going to be the Wembley main event with Swerve, because whoever wins the Owen Hart gets the main event at Wembley. They reiterated that 4 times in this match.
Yep.
It's going to be him. He wasn't on the show last year because he was hurt.
Yeah. So. Speaking of Brian Danielson, I want to pivot for just a second and GOATs. Bryan Danielson, and goats. I went down the fucking rabbit hole the other day, thanks to, I think it's WWE 90s Twitter or whatever it's called. They posted a clip from when the Muppets were on Raw about 13 years ago when the new Muppets movie was out. And neither of you sons of bitches told me that the Muppets had ever done with anything with
you're asking
wrestling.
about a Raw from 2011.
Yeah,
man.
y'all remember every fucking other thing that ever happened.
But hey, once you started talking about it, I'm oh yeah, that was the episode where Beaker and Sheamus were talking about the family reunion.
That was the clip, right? That I first saw. So I went down the rabbit hole, and there's the clip of Daniel Bryan at the time. And somebody said that he had a goat face, and then goat face Muppet shows up. And he's like, do I really have a face like a goat? Shit was funny as hell.
It had Kermit and Piggy with Jack Hager and Vicky Guerrero, where they said, hey, you and your mother. And some good stuff.
I love that shit.
They will probably never do anything like that ever.
Yeah.
They're big business now. They're not.
That shit was fun to me, though, because I'm in a Muppet kick lately.
No, it was entertaining. Because, I mean, as much as we crap on the guest hosts back then, there were some fun guest hosts. And there were some people that definitely had some love letters to this stuff that they were growing up with. John Cena had a love letter to it. He just didn't execute. I'm sorry. Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is what I was trying to say there.
So are you happy now that Mox does not have the IWGP title any longer?
I'm sorry. Did you think that was a good match?
I did not think it was a good match. I did not think it was because of Moxley, though. I thought Moxley was trying to pull everything out of him he possibly could.
This was borderline Brock Lesnar and Moxley.
I think Naito had to be hurt, or completely unmotivated.
Yeah, it was not a fun match for me.
But yes, I'm glad he's out of that.
I mean, I figured
Naito, his knees looked stiffed. He looked old. Even at the very beginning, I was like, he's like he's not warmed up yet or something.
I like his outfit. Come out in a suit.
He has a cool little thing. I like the cool little eyes wide open thing. Like cool hair. The name is cool. The finishing move is cool. But the Tranquilo, I fucking like that. The boy Andrade. But like, yeah, this match just didn't click. And they've had good matches before. Their last match they had, I saw some highlights. It looked pretty good. Now, again, there were highlights and you can cut them together, but like there was color in their last match. It was bleeding everywhere. Not saying that this needed that, but like it needed something. It just kind of felt like, And it was the co-main event.
So, yep, it sure was.
Well, we can move on from that one.
I mean, it's I'm glad Moxley's got that off, and I'm sure that was a bucket list thing for him.
Yeah.
So if you're Tony in New Japan, if that's what he wants to do, I think you owe it to the guy to let him do that with as much as he saved your ass before.
Yeah.
So now let's get him back into the mix every night on Wednesdays and see what we can do with it.
So the final match obviously was Swerve versus Ospreay, and went a little differently than I expected. It was a hell of a match. I honestly kind of thought they would put it on Ospreay. I didn't necessarily want it on Ospreay that quickly. As much of a fan as Ospreay as I am, I think they made the right call.
Evidently, this was an Ospreay call. I saw that today.
Yeah, I saw that today. He said that like he didn't want the title yet. He was like, we need to show that Swerve is a good champion or whatever. So
this was the best match on the card.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That being said, I thought the ending I did not like the ending.
What part of the ending did you not like? The Don Callis?
I'm fine with Don Callis coming out there trying to get him to do whatever. The callback to the screwdriver is fine. I don't have an issue with that. When Ospreay starts switching from wrestling to acting, it's not as strong for it. So he's out of his depth there, and from that point on, he gets lost a little bit because they get back in the ring and they start hitting moves, and his facials are then off from that point on because he can't get back into his head. So like then they're taking too long to hit moves as well. So he's even further out of it. So you got Swerve up on the turnbuckle trying to do the last call on him. You got Ospreay who's dazed, and then he's like, well shit, where's the move? Looking over it back around him, no longer engaged in the match because he doesn't know what's going on, getting kicked in the head. And there's just spots of it where at that point it becomes they take too long to do the stuff, so it becomes more and more taking me out of it.
Like you said, I didn't see anything wrong with the ending necessarily. I mean, you have to. The ref bump is there. I mean, to protect Ospreay. I mean, shit. How many damn Roman Reigns matches ended with fucking ref bump?
Like I said, I have no issue with that. And
then the callback to the Don Callis thing, because that's coming off. And then I didn't think his face. There was nothing about his facials that kind of threw me off. I did sort of like that they had him sort of be out on his feet. Now maybe he could have reined it in a little bit and not sort of wildly.
I mean, this was
swinging.
It was a step down from the Triple H Shawn Michaels one where he's wobbling for 5 minutes with Shawn blowing him from the corner trying to get him to fall, but not by much.
I did kind of like though that he tries to hit the hidden blade and there's just nothing behind it and Swerve just catches him. Like, to me, there was a story being told in here of, and Swerve mentioned this on a promo, like, you are the little brother. Yeah. And this match had that quality to it, where even at the end, he says something to him, gives him a little kiss on the head. I also like the very end where they had Kyle Fletcher come out. Like, that's a very Japanese pro wrestling trope, right? The guy loses and all of his buddies come out and they're like heartbroken because it's a championship, man. It's just no different than like when you see people lose the Super Bowl, like they get emotional.
I have no issue with those story beats. I just have an issue with how those story beats were executed to me.
I kind of thought some of that might have been real life, like because his grandmother died a couple days before that.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe some of that stuff between he and Swerve was probably fairly genuine in what he was actually saying to him or whatever, but I could have misread that.
But man, there were moments in this match. The little chain transitions kind of towards the beginning where they're all flipping out of stuff and the fans erupt for the first time. Like, I'm just telling you, man, it is a small handful list of people that can do that crisply. And the Swerve stomp outside onto the announce desk,
bro.
It just, come on. This was great. And I like the fact that it didn't start out at 100 miles an hour right at the beginning. They went methodical and slow and built up. And this was a great title match.
I mean, they hit 150 at one point.
Oh, yeah.
But
you can't start it. You can't start there. You got to ease your way into it.
But I get where people complain about some of the stuff with the no selling, popping up out of huge moves right into another move stuff. I get it. When you see it over and over again, it drains on you sometimes.
I would rather watch that 100 times out of 100 than watch any version where someone takes a move, pin, 1, 2, kick out. Oh my God. And then they stay there when we show 7 replays. And then the next person, they get picked up and then it switches. That's sort of that's another style. The swapping elbows, like we always talk about, that's now infected. That's everybody.
Yeah, that has been AEW for the last 2 years.
But that's WWE now too.
So, yeah,
it is gone.
So what did you say? The swapping elbows?
Yeah, where they just strong style. It's either chops or elbows in the middle for like a minute and a half. That's just wrestling now. We just have to.
I don't have to like it.
It's taken the place of rest holds.
Yeah.
Nobody does rear chin locks anymore because it slows down the pace.
Yeah.
So that's the way for them to catch
see, that's what made the Zack Sabre stuff so enjoyable because they kept a slow pace.
Oh, because he's wrestling he is unique, a one of one.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on the final?
I like the fact that they're teasing Ospreay and MJF for Wembley. And I like the fact that they're doing Swerve and Bryan, I'm guessing, for Wembley. Because, like...
See, I didn't think that it was going to be Bryan. I was getting the impression that MJF was going to be in that mix somewhere. But now that you've reminded me again that the Owen is for that.
Is that the next pay-per-view?
Yeah.
In August, so there's not one in July?
This was as close to a July pay-per-view as you're going to get.
Roger.
So, I mean, listen... They're clearly making it seem like the AEW championship and the international title means something. And here are 4 of our top 6 guys. So they're going to be wrestling for it. Like, I'm not mad at it. And I wouldn't be mad if, like, at some point you were going to have to get MJF back to being a bad heel that everybody boos. Right now, he's cool because he's come back. There is no better way to get the fans to turn on him than if in Wembley Stadium, in front of Ospreay's countrymen, he fucks him out of the international title and steals it. I mean, that would be a way to do it.
The last note I got on here is if you're counting just the Forbidden Door pay-per-view card, there's 10 matches. If you count the 0 hour, there's 14. How many of these do you think actually needed to be on here?
I don't think pre-show counts.
Okay. Taking it down to 10. How many of those 10 do you think should have actually been on this pay-per-view?
You could have done without Hook and the Hook match. You could have done without the Elite match. You could have done without MJF Hechizero. Unless it was Root. Well, I don't know. Because MJF was back, so I would have kept him on this card.
But no, hold on. MJF is back. That's fine. He makes an appearance. He doesn't need this match.
Maybe. I think you still needed to wrestle. In the end, they went short. But interest isn't all the time. The MJF thing was like 12 minutes. So they went.
I get why Moxley was on this. That match didn't need to be on this match.
If New Japan wants it.
I mean, what else were you going to... Like, this was the spot for that match, if you ask me. You know, it's a cross-promotion thing. We really didn't need the ladder match on this show.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to do one, you could have taken the ladder match.
So I'll still take 4 right there.
So then I think 6 would have been a good number.
Listen, we're not comparing this to Mr.
Now, what is the
5-match per show PLE now?
One more match. That's all you would add. One more match.
I'll say, leading up to this show, neither Patrick or myself were excited about this like we had been.
There was realistically, there is only one really great match on this show.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about how many matches. That was the question you asked.
That's fine.
I mean, but no, I would say that
because Zack Sabre, as much as I enjoyed Zack Sabre and Orange Cassidy, didn't need to be on this card.
Where else are you going to do it?
Maybe not, but there's not any. There's not anything from any recent WWE pay-per-views that they've been bland. The wrestling is just kind of bland. And so like Ospreay has had 6 matches that have been better this year than anything that has come out of WWE. Aside from if you like the car crash spectacle that is Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. But that's so far a different type of
I'm going to respectfully disagree with that statement. Number one, I don't think Will Ospreay has wrestled 6 matches in AEW this year.
Oh, bruh. He's had...
It's like 17-0.
Yeah, he said Kyle Fletcher was out of the park. He said Konosuke Takeshita. He said Swerve. He had the match with Brian Cage that we talked about. That's 4. There's Bryan Danielson. That was the one at Dynasty. Was that? Yeah, that was this year. Because that was the one that everyone was raving about. It was Dynasty. And then he had the tag team match with Swerve.
Tag team matches don't count.
Tag team matches count. Come on.
Tag team matches don't count.
If Will Ospreay was in WWE, that motherfucker, the whole roof would blow off the place every time he...
Because tag team matches is how you give Daniel Garcia his winning record.
Yeah, they count.
Mind you, he's won 2 matches.
And there you go. Danny Garcia is going... if Selena Vega gets a world title match, we cannot talk about the ranking systems. These are storyline matches.
I'm not talking about ranking system. You said he's had 6 matches that are better than anything the WWE has put on, and I disagree hard with that because I don't think he's been in that many matches in AEW. Well,
he was like 17-0, right? Or am I crazy?
They did say he was 17-0.
Yeah, and I can say that too. I'm 37-0 in all my fights in the last 5 minutes.
I'm putting my goddamn mic down. Hold on.
This is the part where it gets a little heated.
According to this, he is 15-2 in 2004 per this. They are saying he has had 15 singles matches in AEW. In his career, he is 23-5 in AEW.
That's pretty good. It's a good record. Listen, I don't care what the win-losses is. I'm telling you, when the dude comes out, there ain't a wrestler on this planet that's better than he is when he gets in that ring.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to look up what I was going to look up.
What were you going to look up?
I was going to name off every goddamn match he's been on, but I don't want to spend that much time looking
What is a cage match? I'll do that shit.
I mean, listen, it's different strokes for different folks. I'll give you that. But like I say all the time, for as ugly and as messy and as chaotic and sort of discombobulated AEW is, I will pay $50 every time they put on pay-per-view because I will get something like Zack Sabre Jr. and Orange Cassidy, or I will get something like Danielson and Shingo, or Ospreay and Swerve.
Here's the thing I want to say. You're too young. But when you were a kid, did your mom watch Days of Our Lives?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was a General Hospital person, but I get you.
Remember when Marlena got possessed? That's what we're watching on goddamn Raw right now. And I'm still watching it. I'm captivated even by it still.
But hey, I'll admit that.
But that ain't where I go for my wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm going for the stories. That's my story.
Here's the
As
thing.
Mama would say.
As I was telling y'all, the Forbidden Door pay-per-view is great when it was bringing people in that you weren't seeing in other places. They have raided that locker room to the point that company has barely existed.
And listen,
I agree with that too.
This wasn't the greatest pay-per-view they've done either.
Every single episode of AEW television, they are bringing somebody in from some other wrestling company. Every episode of AEW is a Forbidden Door. So having a pay-per-view dedicated to it no longer holds any magic to me. Add to the fact that half the people that were wrestling on this, I don't give a crap about, makes this you can have the best matches ever, but if I don't care about you, it takes out the energy.
I really hope that the Dynamite that comes on tomorrow doesn't have anybody from outside of AEW, because the moment it's over, I'm going to text Steve.
Oh, bless you. I hope.
Probably won't. But here's the thing. The next 20 fucking Dynamites could suck. Am I going to buy all in for $50? You damn right. Am I going to buy all out? Yeah. They got me. I don't know what you want. This is it. Will Ospreay, Swerve, Danielson. If this is good enough.
If this was your first experience at buying an AEW pay-per-view, I don't know if this translates into you being a repeat buyer.
Sure, but this was nobody's first time buying
but you don't go into this and look at it like, oh, well, I'm going in to watch this AEW product. If you know what the Forbidden Door is, and you know it says AEW versus New Japan, you know, like, hey, this is going to be a little outside the ordinary.
You want to know what's going to be more entertaining? Dynasty that's not put on that's not an AEW.
I'm gonna buy that one too. That one looks badass too.
Yeah, that one looks like a true Forbidden Door.
But it's like I've said before, WWE, when the stories are popping, it's great. But when they ain't got the stories popping, they have nothing else to fall back on. Because all of their wrestling looks the same outside of a handful of dudes we like Dragunov and Gunther.
I would argue that AEW, all the wrestling looks the same outside of a handful of dudes.
But the overall quality of it is higher. So even if everyone is wrestling the same, if at WWE everyone is wrestling at a 5, at AEW everyone is wrestling at a 7, and then occasionally you get the dudes like Ospreay and Swerve and Danielson who operate at damn near 10s every time they step on in front of a camera in the ring. Whereas I don't think there's anybody in WWE, if they all wrestle at a 5, there's not many people that get above a 7. Now, I'm not saying they're not talented enough to do that.
I would argue again that Ilja is one of those that gets above there. Gunther is one of those that gets above there.
You're thinking.
No, I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to say. I mean, Sammy has his high moments and whether he's doing his comedy character or not. But when he's on, he's on. He can get up there. Seth Rollins will get up there. I would argue that Kevin Owens, when he's given the moment to shine, he is above a 7.
I love KO.
Yeah, I like all those guys too. None of them have wrestled as good of matches, even what Ospreay and Swerve were Sunday night, and that's not even Ospreay's best of this year. And I think I'm being fair when I say that. Like,
that's pretty fair.
I'd say I'm gonna respectfully disagree.
Well, if the WWE does it, I would
argue that the match between Drew, Sheamus, and Ilja was better than the Ospreys.
No. Time.
I would argue walking off the podcast.
I'm saying it because to me it felt more of a fight than it did an exhibition.
That's fine. I love Drew. So you're making me argue against people I actually like. I love Drew and Sheamus and Dragunov. The sequence that Swerve and Ospreay did, the near middle of this match.
You're talking about the
flips, the hidden blade where he misses it, and they get done, they square off, and the crowd stands up.
Fast.
Those guys can't do that. I love Drew. Drew McIntyre's great.
I am not saying that they can't do that. I'm not saying that they could do that. What I'm saying is that when that is because of what the rest of that match is, you can have those high spot moments, but because it is so choreographed at times, it takes away from me.
But I think that was the beauty of, that's when you know it's good, is that it did not come across as choreographed to me. Yes, I will give you, there are sequences where guys try to replicate that, where they are not as good, especially at lower levels. And you can tell that, you can see the choreography of it, and you can tell that the two dudes are trying to work together. But where it becomes special is when you get the Swerve and Ospreay, and they have that choreography and they're in sync, but it does not look like a dance competition. It doesn't look like they're a ballet.
I
It
get what
looks
you're
like
saying.
they're doing that. And what I'm saying is like, that is good enough for me to watch, and be damned the lead up to get to that. Because WWE, if I do not get the good stories.
Well, I mean, we sat here and talked about how Smackdown could not tell you a single match on it, but the story was popping.
Yeah, it is great. But we fast forwarded through most of the show. But like, I'll be excited as shit when Roman Reigns comes back.
Yep.
But I'm not looking forward to the Roman Reigns match necessarily.
I can tell you this. If you watch Forbidden Door on 1.75 or 2, it's even better. And it's shorter.
Listen, at some point, Steven, it just comes down to vibes. You just got to vibe out.
Bitch, don't kill my vibe.
You just got to vibe out. As long as Mariah May's on a pay-per-view and Ospreay's on there, $50 come out of my pocket.
All right. On that note, I don't think we got anything. We probably exhausted all things wrestling this week, right?
I mean, yeah, there ain't nothing else.
I got no.
All right. Y'all follow us on Instagram and Threads and Twitter at Alabama Slam Pod, and follow our network of fellow podcasters at thealabamatake.com. Weekly podcasts come out. They got our podcast. There's TV podcasts, book podcasts, 2 sports podcasts, Star Wars podcasts, and sometimes some essays and stuff from featured writers. And you can get a shirt at tpublic.com. Just search for the Alabama Slam Podcast and or the Alabama Take Network, because our shirts are in the Alabama Takes store on TeePublic. So tell a friend about us if you enjoy the show, and we will talk to y'all next week.